What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another Fallout 76 video on the channel. In today's video I'm going to be showing you exactly how the new reworked Furious effect is working in the game's live servers. I'm going to split this video into 3 parts, an overall explanation, then showing you how it works for ranged weapons, and finally showing you how it works for the melee weapons. Now, ranged and melee are both totally different, so I would advise watching it all the way through. Now, there are some 4-star legendary mods like Pounders that have also been reworked to use the Onslaught effect. I have all the details right here today. Let's jump right into it. So I'm going to start by explaining what exactly Onslaught is. Basically, in the bottom right corner you will see a target with a number in. This is your current number of Onslaught stacks. The way that it works is the number of stacks increases with every consecutive hit you get on an enemy, up to a maximum number which you can increase yourself with perks or legendary mods. You can even flip the effect round if you don't like it, as there's a perk card that reverses the effect called Gunslinger Master. This automatically gives you the maximum number of stacks, and with each consecutive hit the stacks decrease and you lose effects over time. Contrary to popular belief, this one does work with melee weapons too, despite its dumb name quite literally being Gunslinger Master. Another key thing here is that you don't even need to use a Furious weapon to get access to Onslaught. Anyone can turn it on by using one of the available perks in Agility. The legendary mod Furious has just been reworked to provide you with more stacks, but you don't need to use it. This means you can have an anti-armor Onslaught build, for example. The perks available are all arranged terribly, so I will explain it here. You have Gorilla, which does absolutely nothing for the Onslaught effect, but then you do get the Onslaught effects with Gorilla Expert and Gorilla Master. And the same applies to Gunslinger. This perk here doesn't do anything for Onslaught, but Gunslinger Expert and Gunslinger Master do. Alright, so now we've got the basics covered, let's talk about how to use it for ranged weapons. In this example, I'm going to be using a Furious Explosive Gatling Plasma. As you can see, the Furious effect is already providing me with 9 stacks, and 5% extra damage for each one of these stacks. So now let's set up some perk cards. We're going to be using Gorilla Master, which provides you with plus 5 stacks and 5% range damage bonus per stack to close enemies. Next we have Gorilla Expert, which gives you plus 3 stacks and plus 1% reload speed per stack. Next we have Gunslinger Expert, which gives you plus 3 stacks and 1% ranged weak spot damage bonus per stack. Now, with all of those stacks from the perks, plus the 9 stacks we got from the Furious weapon, this puts us at a max potential of 20 stacks. You can see these stacks build super quickly in the corner. Every bullet that hits gives you 1 stack. So with automatic weapons, this feature is a killer, and you'll be at max stacks almost instantly. Now, there's only one other way to push your stacks higher with a ranged weapon, and that's to turn on Gunslinger Master. This perk grants you an extra 10 stacks, which is awesome, but as I mentioned earlier, it flips how the effect works. It takes you up to a max of 30 stacks, but then it gives you it all at once, and reduces it down with each consecutive hit. And this is great if you're fighting singular enemies or just walking across the map hitting the occasional kill, but when fighting a nuke boss it's basically pointless, as it means your available 30 stacks will drop to 0 and then won't replenish until you stop firing. It's much more efficient to have this perk turned off for boss fights. Alright, moving to melee weapons, the one that everybody wants to know about and the most popular Furious weapon to date, the Furious Auto Axe. How does this work with Onslaught? Well, you get the 9 stacks from the Furious effect on the weapon itself. Then if you equip the Pounders mod, it actually enables you to get 10 more stacks on top of that, so that's 19 stacks without even using any perks, which seems great. However, melee Onslaught is capped at that total of 19 stacks and cannot go any higher. That's not to say it isn't effective though, 19 stacks is still really good. Moving on to perks, unfortunately none of the Gunslinger or Gorilla cards for Onslaught work with any melee weapons, they only state ranged weapons. But there is one Gunslinger card that does work, which is Gunslinger Master, and it doesn't actually fully work, only half of the perk card works. So it does reverse the stacks for you in the same way it does with ranged weapons, but you don't get the other half of the perk card where it gives you those 10 extra stacks. That part is only for those ranged weapons. Now, Gunslinger Master, as I said before, it can be good and bad at the same time, so I have to take it on and off a lot. As I mentioned, if you're going up against lots of single enemies and have time to stop attacking in between, then cool, it's going to work fine as the number of stacks will go from 19 downwards and then replenish. But if you're going up against an endgame boss, let's say Earl, the Scorched Beast Queen, or the EN06 Guardian bot, it's totally useless as you'll be consecutively hitting that enemy over and over without pausing, and your stacks will go from 19 down to 0 and then stay there. If you remove the Gunslinger Mastercard and just use the Onslaught feature as it builds up your stacks, you'll still have 19 and you can still do unstoppable damage. And that's it for today, guys. I hope this guide and explanation makes sense. I know it's totally confusing at first, and I did do a piss poor job of explaining it or even keeping people informed, which is typical for Bethesda, but hey, it allows me to make content, so I'm not complaining too much. Like and subscribe for more 76 content, and I'll see you in the next one.